What's up guys, I'm Shane and this is Spare Change. Here on the channel, we discuss all things audio and video, like new movies and new AV equipment. So if it's your first time here, consider tapping that subscribe button for new weekly videos. There isn't any new releases coming anytime soon that interest me, so I figured, in anticipation for the Justice League Snyder Cut, I'd go back and revisit Man of Steel on 4K Blu-ray. It's one of my favorite comic book movies, and I think it's very underrated. As you know, I'm not going to review the movie, I'm just going to share with you some of my thoughts on the video and the audio quality. Now, let's go over a few tech specs. The movie was shot on 35mm. It's got a 2K DI, it's rated PG-13, runtime is 143 minutes. Aspect ratio is 235:1, which means it will have those black letterbox bars. This is one of those movies I find myself popping in quite often, not just because it's a good movie, because I think it's one of the better looking 4K transfers. Is it a huge upgrade over the regular Blu-ray? I wouldn't say huge, but there are some noteworthy upgrades. Sharpness and detail isn't drastic, but the extra information on 4K Blu-rays does help to tighten up the image, fleshing out minor details like pores and wrinkles, and helps to define edges, making them crisper and sharper. Also, with the higher bitrate comes better clarity for all that film grain. If you're a grain hater, you will not like the way this film looks. I'd say it fluctuates between medium to high levels of graininess. The grain does add to the darker, gritty nature of the film, and I'm sure it's a chosen stylistic look, and one I think works well. And speaking of the darker look and tone, the color palette isn't all bright and vibrant, so you won't be getting those Aquaman HDR colors. It's got a very muted appearance, so it's kind of drab looking. That being said, HDR does bring down those black levels, elevating contrast and bumping up depth and separation. Shadow detail was always on display in all the darker areas, with maybe a touch of black crush, and where HDR does its thing is gonna be in all those eye-blasting spectral highlights. The explosions on the Battle of Krypton in Chapter 2 is some of the brightest visuals you'll see on the 4K format. Oranges, reds, and whites jump off the screen with crazy intensity. Lens flares and sunsets pop and creates excellent contrast to the desaturated colors. Audio is in Dolby Atmos, and it is one of the best mixes out there. Soundstage is grandiose with some crazy good instrumental detail. When the action starts ramping up, the score takes the visuals up to the next level. Lower channels fill with music, and there's always musical extension up top to broaden the experience. It's loud and cinematic and also quietly nuanced. If I was just rating the score, it'd be a definite 10. As for sound effects, you're greeted with some great back-to-front panning from ships whizzing by in Chapter 1 and flying creatures move throughout the speakers in Chapter 2. There's of course many helicopter flyovers and a ton of explosions that go off in every speaker. In Chapter 3, there's some flawless surround panning when young Clark is in the closet. Children's voices can be heard circling around the listening space, and other effects move in a full 360 degrees. It creates that in-your-head immersive sensation. If you want straight-up bombastic mayhem, the entire third act will light up all your speakers, from buildings collapsing overhead to aerial missile attacks. Now, even though I do like these huge action movies, sometimes there can be too much going on, and sounds tend to get lost in the mix. I feel it happens here in the grand finale. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't, but that's what I thought. Dialogue, on the other hand, was always solid and it was always easy to hear. So for audio, I'm gonna go with a 9.8. Like I said, I thought the mix can be a bit overbearing towards the end, but overall, it is a demo-worthy mix with one of the best Hans Zimmer scores. And surround effects put all my speakers to good use. Bass response was fantastic, although it falls a little short from movies like King of the Monsters or Aquaman. It does go deep, but not quite as deep as those. Still, demo-worthy though. For video, I'm gonna go 9.6. I think it's a knockout transfer, film grain and all. If you don't like grain and like that clean, crisp Gemini Man look, then you're definitely not gonna like this. Man of Steel has got that cinematic feel with wonderful detail. It's a bit dark and drab, which I think looks awesome, and it's got some of the best eye-popping blown out spectral highlights out there. If you don't already have this on digital or on 4K Blu-ray, I think it's a definite must-own. I will leave some links for it down below in the video's description if you want to pick it up. So let us know your thoughts on the Man of Steel 4K transfer. Do you think it looks as good as I do? And are you looking forward to the Justice League Snyder Cut? Leave us a comment and let us know. As always, thanks for watching. If you want, you could find us on social media, and if you want to support the channel and get exclusive content or great discounts on audio and video gear, then stop by our Patreon page. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys again in the next one.